Hey, what's up guys, Mikey here. As rough and emotional as middle school was for me, I'll never forget the time we did a time capsule as a class project. I just wish I remember what I put in the time capsule, or where the time capsule is buried, or what year we did the time capsule, or where I went to middle school. A lot of people have mixed opinions on Zoey 101 in retrospect, but I personally still like it. Taking into account who created it and where several Nickelodeon live action shows were filmed, this is one that stands out since it wasn't filmed on a soundstage. But as long as the show was inspired and had effort put into it, there's always at least one good episode from it. Time Capsule is the episode where the students put objects that represent themselves in a time capsule, and when Zoey makes a video talking about her life and friends at PCA, Chase wants to know what she said about him. This episode aired on September 18, 2005, and is the first time it was shown raining in the series, and one of the only times at that. Nickelodeon seems to really like time capsules, as season 5 of All That has an episode where the cast opens a time capsule that was supposed to be opened on the specific day, and SpongeBob has episode 278, Buried in Time, from season 7, where SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward get stuck in a time capsule. Hell, Nickelodeon even buried one themselves, which will be opened in less than 20 years from now. The Zoey 101 episode in particular is one of the only ambiguous episodes of the show, as every fan wondered what Zoey said about Chase in her time capsule DVD. Not every fan though. Yeah, I won't lie, even when I was a kid, I didn't think twice about what Zoey said there. Granted, I'd started following the show more often in season 3, but even when I did go back and rewatch episodes from the first 2 seasons, I still didn't really think about what she would have said about him. Even when I rewatched the show before high school, I still didn't really think about what Zoey said about Chase there. I just enjoyed it for what it was, as well as the banter that was present there. For some people, the thoughts still stayed in the back of their minds, even after the show ended. Until exactly 10 years later, when it was actually revealed what was said on the DVD. But we'll get to that in due time. I really did like this episode, and I remember watching this quite a bit during the summer when I discovered Teen Nick. It was a fun time when I could just do nothing but watch the old shows over and over again since it was summer vacation and I had nothing else going on. While I've heard lots of people say that this is either the best episode or their favorite, for the longest time, I never really got that. It's not that I didn't like this episode, far from it, but I just wondered why they thought this of all episodes was the best, and I wouldn't call it my favorite episode. So rather than to see if my opinion can be changed, let's watch this episode to celebrate the fact that if PCA were real, this would be the year that that time capsule would be opened. So the episode starts up and the students are looking at an old PCA yearbook from 20 years ago and laughing at what the students were wearing. The teacher, Mr. Bender, came in and revealed that was his old yearbook and predicted that in 20 years, other PCA students will be looking at their yearbook, laughing at what Zoey and the others are wearing. And yet, those clothes are still better than today's clothes. At least those are clothes. Zoey gets the idea to make a time capsule and have students in 20 years dig it up and see what they were like. Mr. Bender agrees and makes it a class project to have the students pick an item that represents who they are right now. After school, Logan scrolled through pictures of himself to find one for the time capsule. Chase and Michael wrote a song about their lives at PCA. Zoey filmed herself talking about her life at PCA. Nicole was looking through various shirts, and Lola decided to put nothing in the time capsule due to her being so overconfident on being a movie star in 20 years. When they went to bed, they heard Quinn snoring and became fed up with it. Oh, it just hit me! That was why she lived alone at the beginning of the series. Because of her snoring! The next day, Zoey and Chase were talking about the DVD and song respectively that they were making. When Zoey said she talked about her friends, Chase wanted to know what she said about him, but she said she wouldn't tell him and he wouldn't find out for another 20 years. But the thoughts stayed in Chase's mind all day and he couldn't focus on anything else, much to Michael's annoyance. Later that night, Nicole came in and found Quinn sleeping upside down to stop her snoring. This didn't work, and Quinn asked Nicole to monitor her snoring while she tries other ideas. Nicole reluctantly agreed and dropped Quinn. The next day, the students put their items in the time capsule, except Lola, who used crying acting to get full credit for the assignment. The time capsule is sealed shut and buried. Logan reminds Chase he won't know how Zoey feels about him for another 20 years, and it breaks for commercial. After the commercial break, it's nighttime and raining heavily. Chase has a dream where he finally gets to watch the DVD 20 years in the future, with some mega-ass futuristic DVD player. Hello, 20 years later here. We don't have that fancy-ass DVD player in this timeline, and I am not a happy camper as a result. Chase was watching it in his dream, but Michael woke him up asking for an extra pillow right before Chase got to the part where he found out what Zoey said about him. Chase couldn't get back to sleep, so he made Michael go outside in the pouring rain to snag the DVD. They found it in no time and reburied the time capsule. Meanwhile, Quinn tried a bunch more remedies and had one more to test out, sticking South African guppies up her nose to stop her snoring, and Nicole was traumatized as a result. Back in Chase's room, he put on the DVD, and right as he got to the part where she was going to talk about Chase, he stopped. He thought it was wrong to watch Zoey's DVD without her permission, and even Michael agreed with him, so Chase decided to stop watching it and put it back where it belonged. Michael woke Chase up, and Chase woke Michael up. They're even now. The next morning, Zoey and Lola found Nicole and Quinn in the lounge, and when they woke up, the guppies worked to help stop Quinn from snoring. She showed the others, and Coco the dorm advisor appeared and drank the water with the guppies when she had peanut butter stuck in her throat. Later on, Zoey found Chase asleep on the grass. She tied his shoelaces together and woke Chase up, saying that he wouldn't have to wait 20 years to find out what she said about him, but 10 years instead. Chase tried to go after her, but then hopped after her as she tied his shoelaces together, and the episode ends. He left his backpack behind. So that was Time Capsule, and I have to say, that is pretty good. I did say I always liked this episode, but admittedly, when I rewatched the series to prepare for the 2023 reboot movie Zoey 102, I definitely liked this episode way more than a handful of others. Things like the dream sequence and the storm are pretty uncommon for the show. We don't see things like that happen very often. Scenes like that alone make this episode stand out a lot more from most others, which mostly take place during the sunshine. There's a lot of fun character banter in this one, like the dialogue between Chase, Michael, and Logan in their room, and even just Chase and Michael on their own, the exchange between Lola and Logan in the classroom, the ending scene between Zoey and Chase, as well as the brief scene when Quinn tells Lola to stop banging on the wall. This episode also gives Quinn some good character development, showing how she has a health issue, that being a snoring problem, and she finds a solution that would stop her from snoring so loud. Season 2 as a whole definitely helped Quinn be more than just the weird girl next door before she would gradually become one of the girls upon moving in with Zoey and Lola starting with Season 3. I love how a character that was originally not planned for this show ended up being arguably the most memorable girl character of the series. The visual of the guppies didn't nauseate me as a kid, and nowadays I'm still fine with seeing the guppies themselves. Seeing Quinn put them up her nose or take them out is definitely more gross, as is Coco drinking them, but neither of them ruined the episode as a whole for me. I can overlook those scenes if I'm being honest, as in looking over the TV. From what I've gathered from fans of the show online, I've seen episodes with Chase as the lead were considered some of the best episodes of the whole show, and some episodes like this one, Spring Breakup, Goodbye Zoey, Chase's Grandma, School Dance were listed off as examples. Some of those I do agree with, but others, not so much. But yes, Chase himself is great in this episode. I got it! I like when he finds out that Mr. Bender was a cheerleader when he went to school at PCA, and how he and Michael write their own song about their lives at PCA for the time capsule. It's fun how far he's willing to go and how much he annoys Michael with everything he did here. Even with all that, Chase still has a great character arc throughout the episode. He's always had feelings for Zoey, and of course he'd wonder if the girl he likes would like him back or not. And the thought is bugging him so much that it haunts his dreams. And he finally goes too far when he digs out the time capsule in the rain and takes the DVD out. He finally has the chance to watch it and learn what Zoey said about him, but he has a reality check and learns it's wrong to watch it without her permission. He does the right thing and stops watching it altogether. That's pretty strong character development. Up to this point, he has done irrational things to try and learn how Zoey feels about him, like in the play when he tries to make Logan sick so Chase can be in the play opposite Zoey as originally planned, and that bit him in the butt when Chase got sick himself. Or in School Dance when he tricked Zoey into telling him what she'd put on her online personality test, which also caught up to him when another guy named Glenn Davis stole Zoey's test and copied the answers, and Zoey overheard their whole argument. But nope, this time Chase did it himself. This was also a turning point for Chase, because after this, he doesn't go to extreme lengths to find out if Zoey likes him back. Like in Spring Breakup when he decided not to risk their friendship by sharing his romantic feelings, or in Zoey's Balloon from Season 3 where he does want to know the secrets Zoey wrote down for psychology class, but this was in a much more playful way, and he doesn't try to sneak into her backpack and learn the answer that way or something. Obviously, his feelings for Zoey never left him, but after this episode, he doesn't go to extreme lengths to try and find out if Zoey likes him back, or have her all to himself. I love that. It definitely shows how strong and well written of a character Chase is. And not just Chase, I love Michael in here too. He's an absolute mood.
Kill me.
I love a lot of his banter with Chase.
Sure! I mean, what else do I have to do at 3 o'clock in the morning? You're insane! Just keep digging! What do you think I'm doing, having a shrimp cocktail?
I like how he gets annoyed every single time Chase brings out the DVD and how he tries to talk sense into Chase. I also like when he laughs at Mr. Bender's outfit in the yearbook before he immediately backtracks in order to not get in trouble. Chase and Michael were my favorite friendship in the show, and it's always just so wholesome and funny when they have their famous scenes together. There are also a lot of fun character moments in general, like when Chase, Michael, and Nicole are disgusted by Logan looking at pictures of himself, Zoey and Lola being annoyed when Lola uses acting to get credit on the assignment, and Mr. Bender's reaction when his students found out he used to be a cheerleader at PCA. So overall, this episode is pretty good with its strong character development, ambiguous ending, and the unique sequences we don't see in many episodes of the series. And as previously stated, while we don't know what Zoey said about Chase on the DVD, this episode still stuck with fans for that reason. Some people wanted to know how Zoey felt about Chase based on whatever she said. But for me personally, I never really thought twice about it regardless of when I watched the show. Because in the series finale, Chasing Zoey, they end up together anyway.
Alright, don't break my boyfriend.
Your boyfriend? Yeah, we just got done. Yes!
So whether or not she liked him as a friend or more, I'm sure she'd still say something nice about him, and if she did say she liked him as more than a friend here, they still become a couple in the final episode, so does it really matter that much? Well, little did I expect that we would get an answer to this at all. On September 18, 2015, 10 years after this episode premiered, Zoey 101 creator Dan Schneider uploaded a 5-minute video on his YouTube channel with Sean Flynn and Christopher Massey reprising their roles as Chase and Michael respectively, where they reveal what Zoey said about Chase on the Time Capsule DVD. I was amazed when this happened. Never would I have expected anybody from the show to reveal what was said on the DVD, even if it was 10 years after it came out. And yet, here we are. I watched this over and over when it came out. Not necessarily to learn how Zoey felt about him, but because I purely loved seeing Chase and Michael interact again. Their interactions in the video made it feel like the show never ended. So I'm sure you all know where I'm going with this. I'm going to talk about this short and all the good and bad from it. At the beginning, Chase is about to propose to his new girlfriend named Alyssa in a diner in New York City. But right as he's about to, Michael comes in and interrupts the proposal. He gives Chase the DVD, and Michael reminds him that Zoey did give him permission to watch it. Michael said she gave him permission when she said she'd tell him what she said about him in 10 years instead of 20. That's not really giving permission to watch the DVD, that's just her revealing the secret. Chase wanted to watch the DVD, ignoring his girlfriend's request in the process, but he couldn't watch it in the restaurant, so Michael wrote down everything she said about Chase. So Chase whipped out an old picture of Zoey, and Michael read what Zoey said about him, that Chase is one of the funniest, coolest, nicest, most special guys she ever met. Sometimes she thinks Chase has feelings for her, and sometimes she thinks he doesn't. She knows Chase is special to her, and thinks he might be her soulmate. Chase and Michael freaked out upon hearing this, and Alyssa was not happy, to say the least. Chase left to find Zoey and took the engagement ring, leaving Michael and Alyssa in an awkward situation, and the video ends with a "to be continued?" question mark. After going through all of that, here's the positives I have to say. The diner here was the Fooders Diner that appears in Dan Schneider's last Nickelodeon live-action show, Game Shakers. And this was the time I enjoyed seeing that Fooders Diner the most because this wasn't Game Shakers. As previously stated, I love seeing Chase and Michael again after all these years. They were so in character during these scenes, it's like the show never left. It was so cool to see the tech mates again because just a single one of those alone have so much more personality than any single iPhone ever will. Chase breaking off the engagement to risk everything to see Zoey again is such a Chase thing to do. Definitely a very Dan Schneider thing to write. I also love seeing them freak out when they learn what Zoey said on the DVD. And last but not least, I love the gag of this guy pulling a VHS player out of nowhere. So that's all the goods of this video. Now for the bads. The only real bad I have with this is the continuity. Chase is dating a lady named Alyssa here, and not Zoey, when it was very clear at the end of Chasing Zoey that they were now a couple. So I didn't get why Chase had a new girlfriend here. I always assumed that the two of them broke up off screen and this was Chase's new girlfriend while his feelings for Zoey never left him. That made sense to me at least, because Dan Schneider wrote the series finale, Chasing Zoey, where the two of them ended up together. But he did not write the time capsule episode, and knowing the attention to detail he had in his shows, I find it strange if he forgot that Zoey and Chase ended up together, especially considering he also went out of his way to reveal what Zoey said about Chase 10 years after the original episode came out. I'm only speculating, but I think he didn't actually forget, and just wrote it this way to make it funnier. And I also don't know what was happening with Jamie Lynn Spears or any of the former cast members for that matter, so that probably played a factor to why Sean Flynn and Christopher Massey were the only former cast members in this. I do get why Michael read the note because there was no footage of Jamie Lynn Spears saying what was written on it. That doesn't bother me. I just wish there was an in-universe explanation for why Zoey and Chase weren't dating in the context of this video. The time capsule episode of Zoey 101 is a pretty fun watch. There are some aspects of the show that may or may not have aged well for some fans, but I'm indifferent to those aspects. Or it could be nostalgia goggles, I don't know. The strong character development, the unique sequences, and the dialogue between the characters are all so great that this is definitely something that can still be enjoyed to this day. The ambiguousness of this episode and the fact that the mystery was finally solved exactly 10 years later is something that is so cool and something I will always appreciate. I love that the secret was actually revealed to us after all this time. I may not have thought twice about what she said, but so many other people did. I loved getting to know the answer to the mystery, and it was great that the fans got what they wanted after all this time. I now get why people always talk highly about this episode. Even disregarding the ending, Chase has already shown significant growth that he does the right thing on his own instead of learning the hard way. It's a different kind of story compared to most of the run-of-the-mill episodes with other teachers like a harsh gym coach. While I do really like this episode, I wouldn't say it's my number one favorite, but I will say it's one of my 10 favorite episodes at the very least. The iconic moments have stuck with me after all these years, and the fact the story was picked up 10 years later, answering the question the fans wanted, ain't nothing to sneeze at. This has made an impact on the series, and definitely feels like one of the strongest character episodes of the whole show. I will say though, I do want the DVD player that's in Chase's dream. Time Capsule is a great episode of Zoey 101. The premise is good, and it's got some pretty cool sequences that don't come up very often in the show. The gross out scenes in the B-plot aren't enough to ruin the episode for me, and for my standards, that's a miracle. I love some good character growth, and this episode is one of the best examples to show how well written a character from Zoey 101 can be. And learning the truth behind the show's biggest mystery 10 years later is something I still can't believe actually happened. If I was the one writing those things, I may not have even thought about making a follow-up to reveal what she said. I may not have even remembered if it was 10 years after the original episode came out. I can't even remember the last time I replaced my debit card.